Fantastic. Good morning, everybody. Joey Ferrer here, Garmin Aviation team. It's a pleasure to be here and see so many familiar faces and serve the community. I've been checking in online too, so it's great to see quite the turnout from those familiar faces I've had a chance to interact with online. This morning, I'm really excited to share one of Garmin's latest innovations. We've got a lot of work we're doing on citations, and be happy to answer any questions. Basically every single one of your airplanes, we've got a program, between collaborative with Textron or, Garmin's working STCs and things like that. But what I wanted to talk about this morning and what I wanted to focus on was an announcement we made earlier this week on Wednesday. Garmin revolutionized how we look at procedure charts. So our taxi diagrams, our SIDs, stars, and approaches, we're taking a new approach of how we go about that. So it's called Smart Charts. And just a little bit of background and history here. Garmin's been investing in our services for quite some time. And we've been building up our navigation data capabilities. And last year we announced expansion from the US into Europe with just our basic navigation database capabilities. And then some of the other tangential technologies you've seen, runway occupancy awareness. Who's familiar with runway occupancy awareness? So this is something we introduced with our G3000 platform. It's also on G3000 Prime, but this technology is helping with situational awareness. If you're taking a runway that another aircraft we can see with ADS-B technology is landing, then we're going to let you know about that conflict. So a lot of the things that we're seeing in the news, these are going to be situational awareness. Part of that core technology is the foundation for what we're going to see here this morning with Smart Charts. We've got, thresholds depicted, runway hold short lines. So we know where the lines are at and where you're at in relation to on an active runway, not on an active runway. And so that was a foundation. This is another byproduct of that we've been working on for just close to a decade in terms of both the processes to build the data. We're sourcing all this information from the aeronautical information publications. Is it a legal chart? It's a legal chart. We're just representing it dynamically. So much like the moving maps you've seen in our flight decks for decades, we're dynamically drawing airspace. We're dynamically drawing maps. What is the benefit? You can rotate the map track up. So that you look out the left, all the things are on the left. You can look out the right, and all the things on the right. So you have context, and the labels all move around as opposed to just looking at a static PDF document and flopping that around in flight. So we've taken that same concept that we've been doing for years. We've gathered all the source data through the aeronautical information publications and created Smart Charts. So what I did, I just wanted to show this to you with a live demo from Las Vegas up to Reno. And I've got that loaded here in Garmin Pilot application. And there's a couple different ways you can access the charts. So we've got the charts here, and then it automatically, once you create the route, it'll create binders for those. And you can access those there. In the top left-hand corner, you can see it's labeled Smart Charts. You can flip that to toggle back to Garmin's flight charts, or if you're using Jeppesen charts, those will display there too. So you can go back and forth between Garmin's dynamically rendered charts or the flight charts there. And then also on the airports. So here, if you go to the airports page, same thing. So you can go to the charts tab, info, runways, charts, and then you can scroll through a list there of Smart Charts, and you have that same capability to toggle between Smart Charts and flight charts. Now, the difference too, we're all used to downloading a separate charts database. You download your Jeppesen plates or you download your flight charts to your app. This rides along with the navigation database. This is just an appendage to the navigation database now, since it's all dynamically rendered, just like our maps are. So just for background on that. So we'll look at our charts here, and we'll start in Las Vegas, and we'll look at our airport diagram. One of the things we did is we built in just a quick handy filter, so you can quickly filter out what you need. So I don't need approaches or actually I need airport info. I don't need all the other things right now, so I'm going to turn those off. And the airport diagram was what we'll bring up. I was playing with this last night, so it's asking me if I want to reset the chart selections, which I do, just to make sure we get a clean look at this. So we started with, Garmin's been making a product called Safe Taxi for, again, decades. We've been doing this, where we enhanced labeling and information on that. So this takes that same Safe Taxi technology and then adds to it. So when we start to zoom in at the Las Vegas airport, you can see the extremely rich dynamic information. So you've got, runway crossings, thresholds, your lighting system. The hotspot is drawn there, and we'll get to details on that here in a bit. Things like exactly where the windsock is at, so you know where to look on the field for that, where the VOR is placed on the field. It's all drawn to scale right there on the airport with big labels for that, taxiways, etc. So you've got all that information there, really rich information. Then we can move over to the details tab, and then we've depicted and pulled out all the critical information you need, including things where would get things like frequency data, and we wouldn't know, necessarily which side of the field you need for which frequency. So, like for example, if you were sitting over there on signature, we're west side, so you know that runway 1 left, 19 right, west of that is 121.9. So which side, which frequencies apply in those cases. You've got the additional information for your hotspot to bring some context to that, all the airport information, elevation, and then all the notes and operational notes there for the airport. The runway departures, again, this would be, another typically a chart for your any obstacle departure procedures and information. So you've got all this very specific information with your thresholds, displaced thresholds, approach lighting, etc., traffic patterns there. And then your obstacle procedures. So you can select your obstacle procedures. You've got all that information there, specifics, takeoff minimums for that particular runway, and then any procedures relative to that to make sure you're steering clear of obstacles, and then your obstacle notes details for that particular airport. Alternate minimum. So if you're not, if your airport, you're considering using it for an alternate, and they have non-standard alternate, and so we've got a tab just created for that, and you can select your category up at the top, A, B, or C. So I know a lot of us here would likely be in the C category. You can see as I flip from B to C, just dynamically changes all that data appropriately for your operation. And then if you want to continue to look at your safe taxi, your enhanced taxi diagram, you can hit the comms and overlay just that block of data as opposed to that really detail, and still see and manipulate your taxi diagram there. So that's our enhanced taxi diagram. Let's take a look now at a departure. So I'm going to filter for our departure procedures. We're going to look at the Joker 5 departure. So you can see, the MSA is drawn to scale, which is awesome. This is something that you've typically seen in a chart. We've got a bubble around where the airport, so it draws our eyes and attention right to where the airport is located. And you can see kind of the spaghetti we would typically see on all the different routes and procedures. I mean, so let's just take kind of a look. We've got a tool as we're all learning this chart to get back and forth between the charts. So we built this little flop button up in the top right-hand corner to flip-flop between the traditional paper chart and the dynamic chart as we're all learning how to use this technology. But I mean, again, look at the traditional chart here, the spaghetti. You got all your takeoff minimums on the left-hand side there. As I flip over, there's the Joker 5 continued to the transition for Kino, and then all your route descriptions here on the third page. So we'll flip back and let's see how this looks with our smart chart. So we've got this tab at the top here. We'll just move from left to right, starting with our departure runway. We'll say 1 left, and you can see instantly all that other spaghetti disappears. It's just taking what's relevant to what you've told the chart. So now we've got all that information, and we'll say our transition is going to be Kino. And so you can zoom out and look at all that. It's just clearing out all the clutter of the routes that aren't relevant to what you're going to be flying. So it makes it really clear. We put a lot of human factors into this. And so Some of the things that are notable here is you're looking, as you zoom out, when we need to declutter some of this information, and it's harder to depict some of the crossing restrictions or altitude restrictions, speed restrictions. You can see those stars that aren't white. There's a couple little blue cyan stars there. Let's zoom in and take a look. Those are altitude restrictions. So whenever you see the cyan, when you zoom out, there's an altitude restriction. Magenta are speed restrictions, and I've got another procedure where we'll see that. So you've got a crossing restriction at 13,000 feet at Rock and 5,000 at Bessie. Yeah, let's see here. So I've got the MSA here drawn to scale. We've got our minimum en route altitude for that leg segment, the MOCA minimum obstacle clearance altitude, our magnetic track, and then the distance between the legs, all just dynamically drawn there. And you've got, of course, the segments with the altitudes for each of those segments there. And then you've got NOTAMs in the bottom right-hand corner, so you can select that. In this case, there's no NOTAMs that are applying to this particular procedure. We've got another one that will here in just a moment. So we've got a briefing kind of strip below that now. So you've got the runway one left, Joker 5, Kino transition, top altitude for reference is 19,190, and our airport elevation. You can hit the details button, and that's going to give you all of the information. Now, we cleared out all the routes and text that's not relevant to you. If I went back and reset this information, it would expand all that because you have not made a selection yet. But since you have, all the routes are gone except for what you've told it. So it's only doing it for showing you those routes for one left. And then you've got a climb gradient table decoder right there to quickly reference as well to make sure you can meet the performance standards for this particular. It looks like you need about 514 feet to make sure per nautical mile to make sure you can do that. So you can quickly go down, and say based on your foot per minute requirement on the left, and then tab over to your speed accordingly on the right, to get 90 knots for someone like me that's flying a single engine piston, 750 feet, but you guys might be in the a little bit faster category. So you can keep scrolling over to make sure you have the performance for that. And then likewise, so you've got the big details that kind of move over and encroach on the map, but you can touch the details and instead just get your comms for the top bar or the routes to just simplify that and keep a larger map up top. All right, so let's take a look now at our arrival. So I'm going to filter quickly for those into Reno, and we're going to do the, let's see here, we need to select Reno, Scola 1. Okay, this is a good one. So again, similar format, except it's going to do the bar in reverse where we started with the runway for the departure. It's going to look for your transition first. So transition and then end with your runway. So again, you're just working from left to right to filter the contents for you. So this transition, we'll select the Kino transition where our departure ends, and then we'll say runway 17 left is what we're going to use today. So similar here. Now you can see I've got you can see altitude and speed restrictions here in both the cyan and the magenta colors, and then a lot of that similar information that we had on our departure procedures. Details, comms and routes are pretty similar, and then NOTAMs in the bottom right-hand corner. All right, so let's look at our approach plate. All right, so there's a handful of things. So one of my favorite things is when you're at an unfamiliar airport and you're trying to find the best approach, maybe it's low minimums to get into that airport based on your capability. Well, before you'd have to go through each individual chart to look at minimums to figure out which one you get. With smart charts, we've got all that data encoded, so we just filter it. So you hit show with minima button, and instantly you get a list of sortable list based on your category aircraft. So again, I can go from B to C, and on the right there you see height, visibility or RVR, and then the lighting system for that airport, and you can sort by each one of those. Right now I'm sorted by height, so at the top of the list tells me the lowest or the lowest ceiling approach that I could use into that airport to get in there. If I wanted to sort by visibility, you can sort that way and get the list to appear that way, or the lighting system if you wanted to flip, according to the lighting system. Yeah, the question is from Stephen. He asked is it sort by the current weather? The answer is no, it doesn't. So you're still looking at weather yourself and making a decision based on this data. But a great thought, Stephen, for sure. So yeah, so we'll select the ILS there. Again, you get a wealth of information. I'm going to declutter a little bit here. So we'll start again. The thought here is left to right. So we're looking at the ILS. We've got all the categories at the top. We put the speeds in there in case you forget which one A, B, C, and D are. And you can start to filter. And this is another one of my favorites. So all the different items that can penalize, that are buried in notes across the different sections that can penalize your minimums, and that you'll need to add on to them if you're not getting the altimeter setting from that airport, or if the lighting system is out. All that's right here now, and it automatically adds it. So we're Class C. Let's say that we're going to shoot the ILS, but you have the localizer encircling, and then you have adjustments. So let's say the lighting system is in-op. So you select the lighting system is in-op, or let's say that you're not capable of the climb rate required, 390 feet per nautical mile to 8,000. And you can see all these will adjust based on the selection and manipulation of those criteria. So if there are adjustments or penalties you'll get for that, it'll apply those to your calculation. You don't trust us? You can, again, while we're all learning this, the three bubbles in the menu in the top right-hand corner, you can look at the minima adjustment details. And this will give you all the math that we apply to the minimums if you'd like to check and see what we're applying to the calculations. But the result of all that is, again, in this briefing strip here towards the top, we've got the category C. It gives us our decision altitude, 5,138 feet, and then the visibility requirements results. Again, for all the inputs we gave it, that's what you need for that particular approach. So it's a chart that we've designed to just calculate all that for you. You got all the details here, so you can look at all the details of this approach in terms of the equipment required, any restrictions, all your frequencies, lighting, the things that you would brief there, missed approach, graphically displayed as well, any notes related to that, and your minimum safe altitude. And then all that information, again, as the details bar kind of comes out with all that information, you can just summarize it to the top bar with the COM. So you just pull that out to the top. You can look at your brief. So this is really the quickest, most efficient way I like to brief, is using this briefing strip. So just go from left to right. What's that? Sorry, not yet. The brief anyways. And then the missed approach. So you've got all that there graphically displayed to make sure you're displaying all that well. That's right. Sorry. Yes. And you can. Yep. Thank you for that. So we select a transition. We clean up all of that, anything that's not relative to that transition. Yeah, this is in Garmin Pilot. Yes. For flight planning. Yes. That's right. Yeah. And there, so certainly we want to do, the thought is to get this into the flight deck at some point. We don't have a timeline or anything like that for the moment. We wanted to get it into as many hands as possible with the app, and then we'll start thinking about the flight deck. Here.
I use ForeFlight, and if I can't make the departure single engine, I can't make the departure of a single engine, then they have an alternative departure. So do you have that in Garmin Pilot too?
Yeah, so the short answer is we don't have it in Garmin Pilot. We've got our runway analysis product is in flightplan.com, but noted in something that we'd like to consider moving into Garmin Pilot. I understand. Yep.
Right now,
sure.
We have to calculate that both for flight.
Yep.
And I use that a lot. I mean, if I can't take it a lot.
No, I understand.
So it'd be really bad.
And I hear you. Yep, 100%. Yes. Nope. I appreciate that feedback. Um, okay, so other notables on the chart here. So the missed approach hold is depicted in orange. Again, just to really capture your attention. We do have a NOTAM in the bottom right-hand corner for this particular airport. So it's runway closed. And there's other NOTAMs, but it's just giving you the filtered NOTAMs for this particular, anything that would apply to this particular runway or the approach that you're flying. Yeah, so then we've got the profile view, which is awesome. So again, declutters everything, so you don't have a visual descent point or other things that would typically be on the visual because it's not trying to do all of these jobs for you. So you just get the ILS, and it's got your decision altitude right there on the that you've selected and calculated for your approach. So again, all that's right there, and then it's georeference. So the customers have been asking us for this for years with our approach plates. We've been georeferencing for some time now, but now this technology has enabled us to scale this, bring it to scale such that it can be georeferenced. So you'll see your aircraft as you're flying down the approach. Yes, correct. Yes. So yeah. So Stephen, thanks for the clarification. On the profile view that I'm displaying here in the bottom, you will see your aircraft displayed as you're flying the approach with context to where you're at in altitude. I'm not going to repeat that, but yeah, but yeah, yes, um, yeah, no, yeah. So the other neat things that we're doing is, we're adding up since we've got all this data here. We're just calculating data. We're adding up all the legs with distances. So we've got an additional adder. If you've ever wondered, from Zompo, as opposed to adding, two 6.9 and 2 nautical miles in your head, which is on the traditional approach chart, you can just say, oh, it's 10.9 miles. So we're doing some smarter things overall with the capabilities of this. Let's see, we talked about the MSA already. I think that is it. So yeah, so that really brings us to the conclusion. So again, this is smart charts. I will say everybody that's got Garmin Pilot has tried Garmin Pilot. We've reset all of the subscriptions. So if you tried it in the past, we welcome you to come back, and you don't need to do anything. Just log back in. You have another 30 days from Wednesday just to give it a try. So download it, try it. If you've never tried Garmin Pilot, I'd encourage you to download it. You'll get a 30-day trial as well. And for those Garmin Pilot subscribers that have a standard only subscription, you'll have premium access to try this through August 31st, so through the entire summer flying season. So it's no charge. Just get in there and play around with it and see what you think. And we'd love your feedback. And again, Garmin's making significant investments here. Stephen alluded to this space. We're continuing to make investments in this area. So this is just getting us started. So thank you. Yeah.
I'll let you just.
Oh, we got some questions online. Yeah, sure. Thank you. All right. Okay. The question is, will the chart and nav database sync and update to the G1000 NXI through the FlightStream 510 card? Yeah. So I think I'm going to say this is probably a multi-part question, because I think, Philip, you asked this more or less. So one way I interpret this question is this coming to the flight deck? Is this technology coming to the flight deck? The answer is yes, at some point. We don't have a schedule or timeline for that. We wanted to get it in as many hands with the app as possible to get it moving. So at this point, this Garmin's navigation database you can certainly get all that through the FlightStream 510 into G1000, NXI, G3000, your GTN, CXI, all that works today. It's not going to, the smart charts application isn't yet on any of the flight displays. For Garmin, any chance to let the GTN 750 accept altitude and heading data from Proline 21 CJ2 with JetTech STC? Ben, I'm gonna have to take that one offline, and maybe let me check in with Dave, and I are gonna talk a little bit more. We can get back with you, Ben, on that one. I don't know the immediate answer to that. Auto scan, yes, similar question for compatibility with ProLine. Yeah, there's another question. Smart charts with GTN 750s, again, something we certainly want to do, but not, we don't have a timeline to report on today. And then coverage for smart charts, and that's part of it. So what I didn't mention, I appreciate you asking this, Phelps. So the coverage today for smart charts is limited to the US and Bahamas. And so again, we want to grow coverage there. We've got, you know, nav data for Europe, et cetera. So Canada, Mexico, South America, et cetera. So we want to continue to expand smart charts in terms of coverage and just bring it to more pilots globally. So there's certainly some intent to do that. I don't have a schedule with specifics to that, but yeah, initially it's limited props here in the U.S. in the Bahamas. Great question. Yeah, the question is, will it be available in our competitor's app? And the answer is no. Will NOTAMs that affect minimums be reflected? Will NOTAMs that affect minimums be reflected automatically in the minimums presented in smart charts? Yeah, this is a great question. So John asked, yeah, so NOTAMs. So you notice where there were NOTAMs identified for each of those particular airports, there would be a you know, NOTAMs in the bottom right-hand corner with that little red exclamation point, you know. And so there's sometimes where NOTAMs can affect one of those penalties, like where you don't have a altitude, you know, or the ATIS is out of service. Sometimes those can be NOTAMed, and obviously we want to pull those in. We certainly want to pull in NOTAMs to apply penalties as a roadmap or scheduled item. You know, part of that is the overhaul to the FAA's NOTAM system as well. So we're patiently waiting for some of that shift and change to occur to make sure that we're aligned that way, and we're spending our resources well to develop that technology. So that's a great point and something that we want to bring. Right now, with the NOTAM technology we have today, we're doing our best to parse, you know, the otherwise wall of NOTAMs that we're all so intimately familiar with that way.
Highlight the ones that have changed, say in a time case in the last 30 days that hasn't changed, you highlight it. Skip that. Look for the ones that change.
Yeah, that's good feedback. Yeah. So Philip had a good suggestion for NOTAMs. You know, he suggested, you know, in particular for airports that you're already familiar with, maybe your home airport, and there is the wall of appreciating there's a wall of NOTAMs. If we would somehow highlight the ones that have changed within the last 30 days, as opposed to the ones that have been just long-standing for some time. Yeah, that's good feedback. Yep. Okay, last question here from Jonathan. Yeah, okay, so Jonathan, it looks like he's just getting started here with smart charts. Awesome question. Just wants to know how to find them. So yeah, Jonathan, when you download Garmin Pilot to try it again, it will download all of the latest data to get smart charts active. Now you want to make sure that you get version 25.5.0, and sometimes you need to force that. So we chose to do a slow rollout with this announcement on Wednesday. So it's happening over a 7-day period. So it's slowly releasing automatically. So if you have automatic updates on, it will automatically update when your turn is up. But you can force the update too. You got to go to the App Store and manually just update the app to get it to update. So that's happening over the 7 days. By next Wednesday, everybody will have it automatically updated. But once you get into the app, Jonathan, it should download all the data automatically, and then it's all here just in your chart finder. So in the bottom, or if you're airports, and then just you'll have a choice between smart charts and flight charts for your charting provider. So great question, Jonathan.
Garmin Pilot. Garmin Pilot.
Yes, the Garmin Pilot app. Yes, Garmin Pilot. In the app, yeah, Apple iOS App Store. Yep.
Is it like with Stratus? What can it use for?
Yeah, great question. I have a cheat for that. It's built into the app. Yeah. So the question was, what wireless devices are we compatible with? And so you can go to, let's see here. Thank you. Where am I? How am I missing this? Devices. Oh, yeah. Okay, it's not in the settings. There you go. Yeah. So if you go to the menu section and then to devices with this little kind of wireless icon, and then on the left-hand side, you can scroll to see all the things and hit all devices. I mean, this is the wealth of devices we're compatible with. So you can just look for yourself. So for example, Sky Echo, Stratus 3, of course. Then the majority of it's all Garmin products, but you can see everything that we're compatible with there. Yeah, the question is Sentry available? It doesn't appear so. It would be in this menu if it's available. So Sentry is not available at this time.
With the Garmin in the jet in order to get the game like that?
Yeah, the question is, can you Bluetooth to your flight deck to get the organic GPS and AHRS data from it? And the answer is yes. Yeah, so Garmin Pilot will work with, that's on the list. So Flightstream 510 or 210 and 110, whatever you want to do to stream that data, you can do that. Yes, TCAS, weather. It's as well as you're equipped. So if you got all those systems in there, it'll pull all that data in. Good, great question. Okay, let's see anybody online. I think. All right, I think that's the end of that. Thanks, everybody. Oh, yep.
All right, for everybody online, thank you so much. Sorry about some of the technical difficulties, but first time doing this, and I think it worked well. We had a good number of folks online. Again, these sessions were recorded. We'll send them out for everybody here. We're going to stop the recording now. We're going to drop everybody off of Zoom.